I won't go through all of them. But we've announced 23 wins in Southwest Louisiana. 15,605 jobs. $22.5 billion in capital investment, and that's been conservative. That's been very conservative. Sasol, 1,200 direct jobs, 5,800 indirect jobs, $16 to $21 billion. Maybe the largest foreign direct investment, one of the largest foreign direct investments, maybe the largest single investment in our state's history by a private sector company.
George, you need to explain to him why we're back.
Engineer is getting ready to do even more expansion.
But that's a good competition to have. They're first until Sneer puts the money in the ground, but that's all right. That's a record we want to break. $2.2 billion, 220 jobs, 1,000 construction jobs. G2X Energy, $1.3 billion, 243 direct jobs, 740 indirect jobs. Chenier, right now we've only got them listed at only $6.5 billion, 144 direct jobs, 600 indirect jobs. We welcome the additional investment. Sempra Energy, $6 billion, 130 direct jobs, 610 indirect jobs. Zagas USA, $75 billion, 160 jobs, 645 indirect jobs, and the list goes on and on and on. But this is what I want to talk to you about today. I didn't come just to say, let's rest on our laurels. I didn't come to tell you, isn't it great, look how far we've come. I've come to tell you that there is a threat on the horizon. There are some in the legislature that are talking about raising taxes by a record $1.3 billion over the next 4 years. You've not seen a tax increase that big since the 1980s in our state. Now, they have rushed through this. It's a secret plan, went through the committee process in a very rushed way. But let's just look at what we already know about some of the numbers that are beginning to trickle out. And the reason I emphasize this is this could threaten to turn back the progress we've already worked so hard to do to make Louisiana the best place to create jobs. Listen to some of these numbers. Almost all businesses were paid more than $570 million over 4 years in increased taxes because of non-residential utilities and MME changes. Remember, those were changes we put in place in our first year in office because we knew our neighboring states didn't have those taxes. Manufacturing industry paid more than $6 million in taxes for modification of their exemptions. The elimination, it postpones implementation of the new competitive projects payroll for 3 years, impacting some of the largest manufacturing projects in state history. For example, this was one of the incentives we have promised to Sasol to come locate in Southwest Louisiana. I want you to think about this. If these bills were to pass, if this $1.3 billion in taxes were to go up, we would literally have to go back to Sasol and say, we're going to have to break our promise to you. The state of Louisiana had offered you these incentives to cause you to want to come and invest here. Now we're going to have to go back and say, we can't do that anymore. I want you to think about that. These taxes could jeopardize what may be one of the largest economic development wins in our state's entire history. If you don't hear anything else I say today, I hope you remember that. Included in these tax proposals, now this is a bill that can be voted on any day now. We have no idea of when they're going to bring it to the floor, how quickly they're going to approve it. They would literally go back and break a promise we've already made to Sasol, break a promise to this international company that's made a commitment to the state of Louisiana to invest billions of dollars and hire thousands of our people. So again, if you remember nothing else, remember that we don't want to go back to a state that was known for not keeping its promises. We don't want to go back to being a state that was known for changing the rules on investors and businesses and families when they're thinking about whether they want to come here. Because no, there are states, there are others that are trying to compete with us for these projects. In this economy, and you know there are telling companies right now, why would you think about going to Louisiana? Because if they're going to raise taxes on you, why don't you come to our state instead? We wouldn't do that. We wouldn't change the rules of the game once you made a commitment to invest here. And I've got a bunch of other numbers and statistics, but one of the most important things I hope you hear and remember is this. This proposal postpones that competitive project payroll incentive. It causes us to break our commitment to Sasol. This proposal, this increase in taxes could jeopardize a project that is important not only to Southwest Louisiana, but our entire state. Other tax increases in this proposal, businesses experiencing hard times will be stuck with a $180 million tax bill, again, across 4 years as a result of the reductions in the net operating loss deduction. Once again, Louisiana would be unique. Once again, people would point to Louisiana and say, there they go again, doing something that other states don't do, and not in a good way. You know, it could also hurt our film and entertainment industry, cutting that by $138 million, the digital media tax credit by $2.4 million, musical, theatrical, live performance tax credits by $3.2 million, recycling industry, $1.2 million, retail industry, $40 million in increased taxes. Raises taxes on the oil and gas industry, $60 million, through their taxation of horizontal and inactive wells. And let me tell you, a lot of these projects come into Louisiana because of the availability of natural gas, and not only the affordability, but the reliability. And so that supply as a feedstock as well as an energy source. Decreases incentives for small and emerging businesses, including $2 million in cuts to the Angel Investor Tax Credit Program, which helps many small businesses. Hurts small towns and rural areas. For example, the Enterprise Zone, about $30 million, and quality job tax credits. And let me tell you something. Just like that competitive payroll incentive, many of these tax credits, like quality jobs, have been promised over a number of years. There's a tax increase in here for something called the New Market Tax Credit. We haven't given New Market Tax Credits in years. These were credits that were given back in 2009 to projects that take multiple years to get those credits. So now in the middle of a project, the state would have to go and say, we know we promised you these credits. Whether it was a New Market Tax Credit or a Quality Jobs Credit, well, guess what? Because of this tax increase, the state's going to have to break its word. How many of you are in private business? You wouldn't do that. And you couldn't do that if you wanted to stay in business, and the state shouldn't be doing that. It would also increase taxes on innovation by cutting R&D credit by $24 million. It would double tax Louisianans that work in other states and pay taxes here, $48.8 million in double taxation. Local governments would lose $16 million through cuts to their funds. Child care centers. Louisiana families would lose more than $12 million in terms of tax increases, in terms of cuts to the school readiness program tax credits. We would also hurt our ability to draw down matching federal dollars. It would also increase taxes on farmers, reducing milk producers' tax credit, increase taxes on sugar canes through the sugar cane trailer credit and other tax credits. And I'm sure Mike can talk to you about the impact and why the Farm Bureau is so concerned about these. It would also disrupt the rehabilitation of historic structures, cutting the historic tax credit by more than $5 million. The list goes on and on and on. Bottom line is this. The legislature has got three choices when it comes to dealing with the budget. One, they can make cuts. Two, they can use money that they've got available to them. Or three, they can raise taxes. What we've said consistently is as long as I'm governor, we're not raising taxes on Louisiana's families and businesses. It makes no sense to me to take money out of the pockets of our families and businesses. Remember I told you all those encouraging numbers about how well we're doing, but the reality is there are still too many families struggling to find a good paying job. There's still too many businesses that are struggling to make payroll to meet their bottom lines. And as many businesses said, they're already struggling with increased federal taxes. They don't need increased state taxes on top of this burden. One, the process is wrong. They shouldn't have rushed these bills to the committee yesterday. They should have allowed testimony and hearings. Nobody really knows what the plan is because they're just going to amend it on the floor, and they've said that. There shouldn't be a secret plan. But secondly, even more than the process, the substance is wrong. We've outperformed the southern and national economies every month for the last 5+ years because we've held the line on taxes. We've made Louisiana a predictable and friendly place for business investment to raise our children. I want our kids to continue to come home. And I want to welcome the other folks that will be moving to Louisiana to fill these good paying jobs. You've heard the estimates. Tens of thousands of new construction jobs just to build all these new plants. Thousands, tens of thousands of permanent jobs over the next year after year after year for these new economic development projects. The good news is we're finally moving in the right direction. Those fires of economic development are finally burning brightly. Let's not throw the cold water of tax increases on those fires. Let's not send the message to businesses like Sasol and small businesses that you can't trust Louisiana, that you don't want to invest in Louisiana, you don't want to come here. Let's not do that. We have worked too hard to create a new Louisiana to attract investment and to attract our kids. And look, the time is short. We don't have weeks or months. This threat is right here upon us. This isn't on the horizon. This isn't days or weeks or months away. This is now. And so what I'm asking as I close, I want to thank you for your tremendous work. You have helped us. You've worked with us to make this a great state for economic development, to attract jobs, to attract investment. What I'm asking you is make your voices heard. Let your legislators know this process is wrong. Let your legislators know now is not the time to be raising taxes. Let your legislators know we should not be breaking our promises to Sasol and other companies that have chosen Louisiana, that have invested in our state, even picking us over other states and other countries, because they know this is a great place to do business and create good paying jobs. Not today, not tomorrow, but right now, I think it's important you make your voices heard so we can continue to create jobs. And I look forward to coming back to you when we can celebrate the next economic development. Last week it was Boise reopening a third line up in DeRidder. Last week it was celebrating an $8.8 million investment, private and public dollars, in Swello. Those are the kinds of investments we should be celebrating, not raising taxes, not taking money from families and businesses to grow government. So thank you for your great work, but I just wanted to come and let you know our work is not done. This may be one of the most important fights we face to make sure that Louisiana continues on the right direction to create good paying jobs for our sons and daughters. Thank you all very much. Thank you.